It was just a family dinner, and all I did was say one word, no. But that one word shattered everything. Suddenly, the people I loved most looked at me like a stranger. My trust, my effort, my support, it meant nothing to them. That night changed everything. I had to find a way to take back my life, my dignity, and my strength, but at what cost? My name is Gretchen Hall. I'm 36 years old, and I never imagined that the people I loved most, my own family, would one day look me in the eye and treat me like a stranger. It happened at what was supposed to be an ordinary family dinner, the kind where you expect laughter and stories over warm food. Instead, it turned into the moment that shattered everything I thought I knew about family. That night, my parents, Walter and Carol, slammed their hands on the dinner table so hard the silverware rattled. Their faces were red, their voices sharp. "You're selfish if you don't do it," they shouted while my sister Rhonda sat back in her chair, lips curling into a smug little smirk. They wanted me to pay off her $20,000 debt right there, no questions asked. I stayed calm, though my heart pounded, so loudly I could barely hear myself speak. I looked my parents in the eyes and said one word, no. The air turned to ice. My father's finger pointed straight at the door. "Then get out," he barked. For a moment, everything stopped. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just stood up, my throat tight, my eyes burning, and walked out. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel that night, driving through the quiet streets of Savannah. My whole body trembled, not from fear, but from realization. The next morning I made my decision. I quietly cut every tie, and for the first time in my life, I felt something close to peace. A month later, my phone lit up. Dozens of missed calls, all from the same people who had told me to leave. My parents, my sister, the ones who said I didn't belong. If you were in my shoes, would you forgive them? Or would you finally walk away for good? Let me take you back to that night. The moment it all began. I'd been looking forward to dinner all week. After long days at my flower shop, I needed a warm meal, a little family time. I even brought a bouquet of fresh leaves for Mom. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, the sun was dipping low, painting the house in gold. I smiled, thinking maybe things would feel normal for once. As soon as I opened the front door, the smell of roasted chicken and garlic butter filled the air. For a second, it felt comforting, but that feeling didn't last. The atmosphere inside was heavy, thick, almost electric, like a storm waiting to break. My sister Rhonda sat at the table, arms crossed, eyes hard, avoiding mine completely. Her best friend, Tamara Boyd, leaned close to her, whispering something with a smirk. My dad, Walter, sat stiffly at the head of the table. Mom, Carol, was quiet. Too quiet. Normally, she'd be chatting about her garden or fussing over the food, but tonight her lips were pressed thin. "Gretchen, sit down," Dad said sharply. His tone wasn't warm. It was a command. I sat. My stomach twisted as I reached for my fork. The silence stretched on until Rhonda spoke, her voice clipped and cold. "We need to talk about my event," she said. It flopped. "And now I'm in debt. $20,000. I froze mid-bite, my fork hovering over my plate. "That's a lot," I said softly. "What happened?" Tamara leaned forward, her eyes glinting. "Doesn't matter what happened," she cut in, her tone dripping with disdain. "You're her sister. You should help her out." Her words landed like a slap. I looked at Rhonda, hoping she'd say something reasonable, maybe even embarrassed. But she just nodded, her jaw tight. "I've been paying your rent and bills for years," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I run a small flower shop, Rhonda, not a bank." "I can't keep doing this." Tamara rolled her eyes and scoffed. You really don't care about your sister, do you? Sitting there acting like her life falling apart means nothing to you. That stung. My chest tightened. I turned to Rhonda. You think I don't care? I asked quietly. Rhonda looked up, her voice suddenly soft, guiltless. You've got the money, Gretchen. You could cover it. It's just 20,000. You've helped before. That just cut deep. My fingers clenched against the table's edge. I've already paid enough, I said firmly. 5 years of bills, Rhonda. Mom and Dad's rent, their utilities, your car. When does it stop? Mom's fork clattered against her plate. Her eyes flashed. Gretchen, don't be selfish, she snapped. Your sister needs you. Family sticks together. Selfish, I repeated, my voice trembling. I've given everything I have. When has anyone here ever thanked me? Dad's palm slammed against the table. The dishes jumped. Enough, he shouted. You're embarrassing us in front of Tamara. If you can't help your sister, you don't belong here. I stared at him, stunned. My eyes darted to Mom, praying for her to say something, to defend me, to calm him down. But she said nothing. She just kept staring at her plate, her lips sealed shut. Rhonda crossed her arms, her face blank like she'd already won. Tamara smirked, pleased with the chaos she helped create. Get out, Dad ordered, his voice low but final. If you're not family enough to help, then leave. My heart cracked wide open. I rose from my chair, its legs scraping against the tile. You're choosing her over me, I whispered. No one answered. Mom's head lowered. Dad's expression hardened like stone. Rhonda wouldn't meet my eyes. Tomorrow's grin widened, cruel and satisfied. I grabbed my purse, my hands shaking. Fine, I said, my voice breaking. I'm done. The door slammed behind me, echoing like thunder in the night. As I stumbled to my car, their words played on a loop in my mind. Selfish. Don't belong. Get out. I'd spent years paying their bills, keeping them afloat, giving up my savings to keep their lights on. And this was how they thanked me, by casting me out the moment I said no. As I drove away, my knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. Something inside me shifted. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry, furious. For years I'd let guilt chain me to their demands. But that night, those chains finally broke. The next morning, I sat alone in my flower shop. The cool hum of the floral fridge filled the quiet room. My laptop sat open on the counter, glowing faintly in the early light. I scrolled through my bank records. 5 long years of payments for rent, utilities, internet, car notes, thousands upon thousands of dollars. Every payment a piece of myself I'd given away. My jaw tightened. My shop wasn't built on luck. It was built on late nights, sore hands, and endless hours arranging flowers for weddings and funerals. I had earned every dollar they spent so carelessly. Last night's dinner replayed again in my mind. Dad's hand slamming the table. Mom's silence. Rhonda's blank stare. Tomorrow's smug grin. They'd called me selfish while living off my work. I opened the rent payment page for my parents' house. The auto payment was due tomorrow. My finger hovered over the cancel button. For a second, guilt pricked at me. They were still my parents. But then I remembered Tamara's sneer. You don't care about your sister and Mom's sharp voice. Don't be selfish. I clicked cancel. The confirmation screen flashed, and for the first time in years I felt my shoulders drop, my chest loosen. I canceled the utilities next. Electricity, water, internet. Each click felt like shedding another heavy stone I'd been carrying too long. 5 years. Not once had they said thank you. Not once had Rhonda offered to pay me back. I leaned back in my chair, the quiet filling the room. Then the guilt tried to creep back in. Memories of Dad's proud smile at my graduation, Mom calling late at night to ask about her garden. Rhonda helping me decorate my shop the day I opened. They weren't always cruel, but something in them had changed. And maybe in me too. Still, I knew this was right. I wasn't cutting them off out of spite. I was doing it because I needed to breathe again. I needed to stop being their lifeline and start being my own person. I closed my laptop, exhaled slowly, and picked up a pair of shears to trim a wilting lily. The crisp snip of the stem felt final, like cutting away the last thread tying me to their control. I didn't know what would happen next. Maybe they'd show up at my shop. Maybe they'd ignore me. Maybe they'd finally realize what they'd lost. But whatever came, I was ready. Because for once I wasn't afraid of being alone. I was free. Still, a small part of me ached, wondering if they'd ever see me as more than a source of cash. Would they call begging for forgiveness? Or would they double down, blaming me for their problems? I stood and walked to the counter, picking up a pair of shears to trim a wilting lily. The snip of the blades felt final, like I was cutting away their hold on me. I didn't know what would happen next. Maybe they'd show up at my shop. Maybe they'd ignore me entirely. But I knew one thing. I was worth more than their demands. I'd spent years building my business, my life, and I wasn't going to let them drain me dry. A month later, my phone buzzed with Rhonda's name. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen. After that dinner, I hadn't heard from her, Walter, or Carol. No apologies, no texts, just silence. I hit answer, bracing myself. "Gretchen, I need your help," Rhonda said, her voice soft. "I'm planning a new event, a big on. It's $15,000 to get it off the ground. My career depends on it." I gripped the phone, my jaw tightening. $5,000. I said, my tone flat. "Rhonda, you're asking for more money after they kicked me out. It's not like that." Cherished her words tumbling over each other. "This event could save my business. You've always come through for me. Please." I paced behind the counter, my sneakers squeaking on the tile. Her pleas stirred something in me. Anger, not pity. "You sat there while Walter and Carol threw me out," I said, my voice sharp. "Tamara called me selfish, and you didn't say a word. Now you want my money." Rhonda went quiet, then sighed. "I didn't mean for it to go that far, but I'm desperate." "Gretchen, you're my sister." "Your sister?" I snapped, my blood boiling. "I paid your car note, covered their rent for years. You think I'm a bank? You can keep tapping." I stopped pacing, my hand clenched around a pair of scissors. I wasn't falling for her sabab story again. "No, Rhonda," I said firmly. "I'm done." She started to protest, but I hung up, my heart racing, her nerve calling me after everything lit a fire in me. I wasn't just going to sit back. They needed to know I wasn't their doormat anymore. I opened my desk drawer, pulling out a stack of old receipts. I started sorting through them, my hands moving fast bank statements, payment confirmations, anything showing the money I'd poured into their lives. I logged into my mail, searching for messages from Rhonda. There they were. Texts from years ago thanking me for covering her bills, promising to pay me back. Lies as of everyone, my fingers trembling with purpose. Then I checked my bank app, downloading records of transfers to Walter and Carol over $60,000 in 5 years. Each transaction felt like a betrayal, a reminder of how they'd used me. That evening, I sat on my couch, their seats and screenshots spread across my coffee table. My boyfriend, Bradley Owen, walked in his laptop bag slung over his shoulder. He took one, looked at the mess and raised an eyebrow. "What's all this?" he asked, sitting beside me. "They think they can keep taking." I sighed, my voice low but steady. "Rhonda called today asking for $15,000. I'm done, Bradley. I'm going to show everyone what they've done." He nodded, his hand resting on mine. "You're stronger than they think," he said. "Don't let them make you doubt yourself. Keep going." His words grounded me, pushing back the anger threatening to boil over. I leaned into him, feeling a spark of resolve. With Bradley in my corner, I knew I could do this. The next day, I was restocking roses at the shop when a regular customer stopped by. She asked how I was holding up, mentioning rumors about my family's fight. I shrugged, but the words slipped out. "I'm done covering for them. I've got proof of everything." Her eyes widened, and I realized my mistake. Word spreads fast in Savannah. By evening, my phone pinged with a text from a mutual friend. "Rhonda's freaking out." She heard, "You're planning something." I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. I hadn't meant to tip me hand, but it was too late. Rhonda was scared, and that told me I was on the right track. I saved another screenshot, my mind racing with what was coming. 2 weeks later, I sat at my desk, ready to fight back. My laptop screen glowed with folders of evidence receipts, bank transfers, and old messages from Rhonda. I dragged each file into a timeline, my fingers steady as I built a case that would expose the truth. Every document told a story, 5 years of me footing Walter and Carol's bills. Thousands sunk into Rhonda's endless emergencies. I wasn't just organizing papers, I was crafting a weapon. As I scrolled through Rhonda's old texts, one stopped me cold. Sent 3 years ago. It read, "Thanks for the cash, sis. I'll pay you back when my events take off. Promise." Another from last year. "You're a lifesaver, but don't tell anyone I'm struggling." My stomach twisted. She'd known exactly what she was doing, using my money while playing the victim. That message was gold proof she'd taken advantage of me. I saved it to my main folder, my resolve hardening. I needed someone to amplify this truth. I opened my email and typed a message to Phyllis Clean, a freelance journalist I'd met at a local wedding expo. She'd written pieces exposing shady businesses in Savannah, and I trusted her to handle this right. "Phyllis," I wrote, "I've got evidence my family's been exploiting me. Can we meet?" Within an hour, she replied, "Let's talk tomorrow." The next day, Phyllis sat across from me at a coffee shop, her notebook open. "Show me what you've got," she said, her voice calm but curious. I slid my laptop toward her, walking her through the timeline receipts for rent payments, bank transfers to Walter and Carol Rhonda's texts, admitting she'd leaned on me. Phyllis's eyes narrowed as she read the message where Rhonda promised to pay me back. "This is damning," she said, scribbling notes. "We can make this public, but it needs to hit hard." "Where's Rhonda most visible?" "The community fair," I said, my voice firm. "She's organizing it next month. Everyone in Savannah will be there." Phyllis nodded her pen, moving fast. "Perfect. We'll release the story there. Blog post, maybe a speech. Let the town see who she really is." We spent an hour mapping it out. She'd draft an article. I'd provide the evidence, and we'd time it for maximum impact at the fair. My heart raced, but not with fear. This was excitement. I was finally taking control. Back at my flower shop, I called Bradley. He answered on the first ring, his voice warm. "How's it going, Gretchen?" he asked. I told him about Phyllis and our plan, my words spilling out. "I'm not backing down," I said. "They've underestimated me for too long." Bradley chuckled, a sound that steadied me. "You're unstoppable," he said. "But stay sharp. They'll fight dirty when they hear about this." We talked strategy, how to present the evidence clearly, how to handle backlash. He suggested practicing my speech, keeping my voice steady to win the crowd. "You've got this," he said. "Show them who you are." His confidence fueled mine like a fire, catching fresh kindling. That evening, I tested my speech in front of my bathroom mirror, my voice growing stronger with each line. For years, I paid their bills, their rent, their debts. I practiced imagining Rhonda's face, and they called me selfish. Each word felt like a step toward justice. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for every dollar I'd lost, every sleepless night I'd spent worrying about their problems. I closed my laptop, my mind buzzing with purpose. The fair was weeks away, but I was ready. With Phyllis's pen and Bradley's support, I wasn't just exposing Rhonda. I was rewriting mystery. A week later, my phone lit up with notifications. Tamara's post in a Savannah community group cut straight to my heart. Gretchen Hall is a selfish sister who'd rather tear her family apart than help. She's jealous of Rhonda's success and refused to support her. My eyes stung as I saw Rhonda's name under the post. She'd liked it endorsing the lie. Comments flooded in, people I'd known for years, calling me cold, disloyal, a disgrace. My hands shook, dropping the ribbon to the floor. I'd paid their rent, their bills, Rhonda's debts, thousands over years, and this was my reward. The shop's phone had barely rung all week. Orders for events and funerals had plummeted. I checked my email cancellations from 2 regular clients, one citing recent gossip. Tamara's words weren't justly. They were strangling my business. Rhonda's support made it feel like a knife in my back. I paced the shop, my pulse hammering. Anger surged hot and sharp, but beneath it was a raw ache. These were people I'd grown up with, served for years, now turning on me. I thought of Walter and Carol, silent as their daughter was smeared. Had they seen the post? Did they care? I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I stopped myself. They didn't deserve my tears. I sat at the counter staring at my laptop. The files I'd organized, receipts, bank transfers, Rhonda's texts at ready. I could have sent them to Phyllis right then. Let the truth rip through their lies. But something held me back. A blog post wasn't enough. I wanted Rhonda to face me, to look me in the eye when the truth came out. The community fair was her stage, her pride. That's where I'd make my stand. I texted Bradley Tamar's slandering me online. Rhonda's backing her. I'm done hiding. He called immediately, his voice steady. They're scared, Gretchen, he said. You've got everything you need to shut them down. Don't let this break you. His words were a lifeline pulling me from the hurt. I nodded, though he couldn't see me. I'm not breaking, I said. I'm fighting. I called Phyllis next to my voice firm, despite the knot in my chest. Tomorrow's spreading lies online. I told her, I'm saving the truth for the fair. She paused, then said, That's bold. I'll be there with my camera. Make it count. Her confidence fueled mine like a spark catching dry wood. I wasn't just angry. I was ready. By evening, another text came from a friend. Tamara's post is everywhere. Rhonda's telling people you abandoned her. My jaw clenched, but the news only sharpened my focus. Their lies were piling up. But I had the truth. Every receipt, every message. I imagined Rhonda at her fair, smiling for the crowd, oblivious to what was coming. Let her enjoy her moment. I'd make sure it didn't last. I closed the shop early, my resolve ironclad. The day of Rhonda's community fair arrived. I stood at the edge of Savannah's fairgrounds, the air buzzing with laughter and music. Booths stretched along the street vendors, selling crafts and food under Rhonda's banners. My heart pounded, but my hands were steady, clutching a folder of evidence receipts, bank transfers, Rhonda's texts. Bradley stood beside me, his presence grounding. You're ready, he said, squeezing my arm. Phyllis was nearby, her camera poised to cord. This was it, my chance to set the record straight. Rhonda took the stage for her opening speech, all char smiles, shaking hands with locals. Tamara lingered at the edge, her eyes darting nervously. I waited, my breath calm, until Rhonda opened the floor for questions. I stepped forward, raising my hand. The crowd hushed, heads turning, Rhonda's face drained of color, her smile freezing. "I have something to say," I announced, my voice cutting through. "There." I climbed onto the stage, ignoring Tamara's scowl. For years, I paid my family's rent, wanted to $200 a month, sometimes more. I covered their bills, my sister's, debts, $60,000 total. And what did I get? Lies. They called me selfish spread rumors to ruin me. I held up the folder, pulling out a receipt. This is proof. 5 years of payments to Walter and Carol. It showed a text from Rhonda. "Thanks for the cash," Esper's rippling. Rhonda's mouth opened, but no words came. I turned to her, my gaze unflinching. "Why did you lie, Rhonda? Why say I abandoned you when I carried you for years?" Tamara stepped forward, her voice sharp. "You're twisting the truth, Gretchen." But I held up another receipt, silencing her. "This isn't twisted. It's fact." Phyllis moved closer, her camera rolling. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, some nodding, others glaring at Rhonda. A woman shouted, "Is that true, Rhonda?" Another called, "You owe her an apology." Rhonda stammered, I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Her voice cracked, her charm crumbling under the weight of eyes on her. I kept going, my voice steady. "I built my flower shop from nothing. I gave everything to my family, and they turned on me. Tamara posted leads online saying, 'I'm jealous that I broke our family.' But here's the truth. They used me, then discarded me." I held up the folder again, letting the evidence speak. The crowd support claps, cheers. A few shaking their heads at Rhonda. Tamara tried again, her face red. "You're just bitter," she shouted, but the crowd wasn't listening. A vendor I knew yelled, "We rust Gretchen. She's always been fair." Rhonda's shoulders slumped, her eyes darting to the exit. She'd lost them. Her own fair, her own stage. Phyllis caught my eye, giving a subtle nod. She'd post the video online, letting the truth spread further. Bradley stepped closer, whispering, "You did it." I felt a rush of triumph, but a small ping lingered. Walter and Carol weren't there, but they'd hear about this. I'd wanted them to see me stand tall, but their absence didn't dim my victory. By evening, my shop's phone was ringing again. New orders, apologies from old clients. A local restaurant owner approached me saying, "I'm sorry, I doubted you. Your shop's getting my business." Rhonda's fair went on. But the whispers followed her. She'd lost her shine, her event tainted by the truth. I walked away from the stage, my head high, the weight of years lifting. I'd taken back my name, and no one could take that away. 3 months later, my shop was thriving again. The scent of fresh lies filled the air as I arranged a new display near the window, sunlight streaming across the polished counter. Savannah's streets bustled outside. But inside my flower shop, I felt a quiet peace. The chaos of the past year, Rhonda's lies, tomorrow's slander, Walter and Carol's betrayal had settled into a distant hum. I'd faced them all at the fair, and now the consequences were unfolding. Word spread fast after that day. Rhonda's event planning business crumbled under the weight of her exposed lies. Clients canceled contracts, vendors distanced themselves, and her name became a cautionary tale in Savannah's tight-knit community. I heard from a local caterer that Rhonda had lost a major wedding gig, her reputation too tarnished to recover. The debts she'd dodged, bills I'd once paid, caught up with her. Walter and Carol, too, faced the fallout. Without my support, their unpaid rent and utilities piled up, forcing them to leave town. A neighbor mentioned seeing their house listed for sale, their belongings packed into a moving truck. They were gone, and I didn't care to know where. I blocked their numbers. Rhonda, Walter, Carol, Tamara. No calls, no texts, no apologies. I was done carrying their burdens, hoping for change. The silence felt like freedom, a weight lifted from my shoulders. I'd spent years tying myself to people who didn't value me, but no more. My life was mine now, and I was building it on my terms. The shop became my sanctuary. I hired Kevin Walsh, my employee at the flower shop, to help manage the growing orders. Kevin was young, barely 28, with a quick smile and a knack for arranging bouquets. "You're killing it, Gretchen," he said one afternoon, tying a ribbon around a wedding order. I laughed, handing him a pair of shears. "Couldn't do it without you, Kevin." His support, small but steady, reminded me I wasn't alone. Bradley was my rock. We spent evenings planning the shop's expansion, a new section for custom arrangements, Asmalt cafe corner for walk-in clients. One night as we sat on my porch, the Savannah sunset painting the sky orange, he took my hand. "I'm proud of you," he said, his voice warm. "You didn't just survive, you built something better." He smiled, leaning into him. "Couldn't have done it without you, Bradley." His presence made every step feel lighter, every victory sweeter. The shop's success was proof of my strength. Orders board in weddings, birthdays, even a contract for the city's spring festival. Customers stopped by with kind words, some apologizing for doubting me during the rumors. A local baker who'd once sided with Tamara's lies brought me a box of cupcakes as a peace offering. "We were wrong about you," she said. In nodded, accepting the gesture but keeping my guard up. I'd learned who to trust. One morning, as I sorted invoices, Kevin burst in holding his phone. "You've got to see this," he said, showing me a local blog post. Phyllis had written a follow-up piece, not about the fair, but about my shop's rise. "Gretchen Holt's flower shop is a testament to resilience," it read. "She's proof you can rebuild when others try to tear you down." I smiled, a quiet pride swelling in my chest. Phyllis hadn't just been a journalist. She'd become a friend, someone who saw my worth. I thought about my family sometimes, but not with anger. The hurt had faded, replaced by clarity. Rhonda, Walter, Carol, they'd chosen their path, and I'd chosen mine. I didn't need their approval to know my value. My real family was here: Bradley, who believed in me; Kevin, who worked by my side; even Phyllis, who'd helped me tell mystery. They were the ones who mattered, the ones who lifted me up instead of pulling me down. As I locked the shop one evening, the neon sign glowing softly, I paused to take it in. This was my life now. A business I'd grown, a home I'd built, people who respected me. I'd spent too long sacrificing for those who didn't care, pouring my heart into empty promises. Never again. The lesson was heard one, but clear. Don't give yourself away to people who don't see your worth. I walked home under the stars, my steps light, my heart full. I was Gretchen Holland. I was. If this hit a nerve, don't stay silent. Share your story, hit subscribe, and let's stand with the ones who refuse to be used.